Working on the 92 Ford F-150 today. Going to be doing an exhaust manifold gasket. I'm going to start by disconnecting the exhaust from the flange in the bottom of the exhaust manifold. You can see that they've already put some new studs in this one, so this will be a piece of cake. So before I begin, I went ahead and got some Mr. Gasket Ultra Seal gaskets. Got the best gaskets I could find. I don't want to be doing this job again anytime soon. And I got a stud kit. Don't want to be putting rusty bolts back in there. And really the biggest fear with this job is that you snap a exhaust manifold bolt off flush in the head, and then they're very difficult to get out. So here's the motor. I've labeled my spark plug wires, got them up out of the way. And then there's a heat shield down there that looks like it's held on with two nuts on studs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat those nuts with my torch and back them out. The reason for that is I don't want to stress out these studs any more than I have to. So here's the socket on the first exhaust manifold bolt, and wish me luck. Let's see if she snaps. Oh, it's turning. I have all the exhaust manifold bolts loosened by hand now. Looks like they're all going to come out. And there's a pipe coming out of the manifold connected to this device. I don't know if this is an EGR or what this thing is, but I'm going to heat up this nut because it's really tight. I was pulling on it with an 1 16" wrench, which is actually the wrong size, and it was not coming undone. See if that's enough. Whole tube's turning with it.
Not good. Not good. You're gonna need a new tube.
Do they sell such a critter?
Oh, that's...
Okay, I got a grip on the tube now, trying to separate the tube and the nut. I don't know how well this is going to work.
Is it working?
Oh, she broke free.
Oh.
Let's see if I can crack this thing free and pull it out of here now. That can't be good.
It just broke right there.
Is that where the leak was coming from?
Dude.
A couple of the exhaust manifold bolts were loose, so it's a good thing I did this anyway.
That's where it leaked.
So here's the manifold after it's removed. We found that this tube is actually broken. So that's a potential source of a leak. And also you can see the black carbon deposits here on the back cylinder and then on the cylinder in front of it. So it's possibly leaking from there. Another side note is there was no gasket on there, so I don't know if that's the way the factory put these things together, but I'm going to go ahead and assemble it with a gasket. And when I put this on, if I have chronic problems, sometimes I'll use high temp RTV on them, but usually I just clean up all the surfaces and I start by putting the gasket on dry. And one other thing I'm going to do before I put this back together is I'm going to go ahead and chase out all the threads in the head with a tap, and of course get a new pipe. Here are the studs that I replaced in this manifold. I actually did this while it was in the truck. And to do that, I heated this whole area up till it was basically orange and got them to crack loose. It had to cool, repeat, got it to free up a little bit more. It took about 6 cycles per stud, but I was able to get all the studs out without snapping any. Here is a 3/16 blind hole tap. Using a blind hole tap, it's got no point on it because those holes aren't through holes in the head. And I'll chase the threads out with this. I got my new tube today. That tube is actually called the EGR tube. In retrospect, I probably could have just welded this one together, but we'll make it look proper. And as preventative maintenance, I decided to go ahead and take the other manifold off. And if you look at these ports, you see the carbon way up on the outside of some of them. And if you look at the block on the passenger side, you can see a lot of carbon deposits around the ports on the head. This is probably leaking as well, so good preventative maintenance here at 116,000 miles. I was able to get all the bolts out, so this job isn't going to be too bad. Not too happy with the Napa bolt kit right now. I actually had to go buy 3 bolts. I didn't want to have studs sticking out if I'm not using them, and they didn't even have enough long ones to complete the job. I don't know if there's supposed to be a left and right side stud kit for this manifold job. And another issue is after the hole's been tapped, a regular bolt threads right in there, but these Napa bolts don't really want to go in too well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a die over them all so they thread in there how they're supposed to. I don't want to have any problems in the future taking this thing apart. Another note on these bolts is the ones I bought are grade 8s, those gold ones there. You can tell by the 6 hatch marks. And the ones in the Napa kit are grade 5s. You definitely don't want to use any soft bolts on exhaust manifolds. So here is my manifold gasket surface. You can see it's extremely pitted. And I've actually decided to go ahead and use a little high temp RTV on just the manifold side as a precautionary measure. And the machine side of the head is actually in really nice shape yet. So we'll see how this gasket works in there. We pretty much determined that the factory assembled this with no gaskets. And it worked good up pretty much until this point. Now I painstakingly got the manifold back on with just the 2 end bolts, and I'm going to slip the gasket on, start the rest of the bolts, and tighten her down. Turns out this EGR tube that Napa sold me is about 1/4 inch too short. I can't get it to fit on there. I really don't want to stretch it out. It's probably why the original one broke. So what I've decided to do is just sleeve the original, and I'm going to go ahead and weld around the seams, and I'll just have a solid tube. So here's my finished masterpiece. We'll see if we can get this to fit on there. Here's my custom EGR tube installed. Fits perfectly now. I doubt I'll have any more problems with that. Here's the moment of truth on the Ford. We'll see how it sounds. Definitely sounds quieter. The truck is pretty quiet now, so what I'm going to do is run it through a couple of heat cycles and then retorque all those manifold bolts. And that's going to be about it for the exhaust manifold video. If there's any updates, I may post them on the tube.